Okay, so two of you are there. I think only.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is Harsha there? Harsha?
Yes, sir, I'm there.
Okay, good. Okay, so we are looking at chapter number 3, which is on ISO 14001. Sorry, chapter 4, Occupational Health and Safety Management System, ISO 45001, 2018. Okay. So this occupational health and safety management system, has become very important these days because of so many industrial hazards happening, in different parts of the world. And in India, if you recall, several such things have happened in Indian industry. So the recent was somewhere in Palghar district, there was a big fire in a factory. Then Steel Authority of India, at least in last 5 years, there are 5 major accidents which have taken place. Okay. So according to the ILO, that is International Labour Organization, more than 7,600 people die from work-related accidents or diseases every single day. Okay. So this is only die, but how many people get injured, permanent disabilities, and so many things, you can imagine, the numbers. Now, this is a very typical scene in manufacturing industry, logistics industry, where several, people work in conditions which are prone to hazards and accidents. The history background of this standard, as we have seen earlier also, that this standard was introduced first as a OSHA standard, Occupational Health and Safety Assessment System. Okay. And again, it is BSI. And the standard initially was numbered as 880. In 1999, the standard was revised as 18,001, 1999. So this name OSHA's 18,001, 1999 was again the ISO retained the initial OSHA's thing from BSI, but it was sort of adopted by them. In 18,001, the standard was revised, updated to bring in line with 14,001. And finally, in 2018, the standard was formally adopted as the ISO standard, and the serial number given to the standard is 45,001, was published on 12th March 2018. So it was brought under proper ISO ambit and with 10 clauses as defined by the high level structure in 2015. Similar to the 14,001, here also there are 5 tenets. What are those? The top management is, of course, at the center. Prevent injuries, ill health, incidents, and accidents. Okay. What was there in 14,001? 14,001 में क्या था?
So about the noise pollution.
Yeah, it was
Pol-
prevention of pollution of any kind, that is air, water, noise, land contamination and all. So here that prevent injuries, ill health, incidents and accidents. Okay. Then the second tenet was similar, legal and statutory requirements and any other relevant specific requirements. Okay, there also it was same. So it was related to the environment. Now this is related to the occupational health and safety. Then create infrastructure for safe and healthy working and monitor the effects. And again, the 4 R's, that is remove, reduce, recycle, reuse, all forms of wastages is applicable. So the OSHA's OHSMS, now earlier see it was OSHA's, now ISO 45001, it is renamed as OHSMS. So what is the full form of OHSMS?
So occupational health safety management system.
Yeah, occupational health and safety management system. Okay, that is the full form. Okay. So it is basically dealing with the occupational health and safety of the people who are working in the organization. Okay. So who is the primary focus here? Primary focus in ISO 45000 is who?
People, employees.
People, employees working in the organization is the focus. The primary focus is on the employees who are working in the organization. In ISO 14001, what was the focus?
Environment.
The environment, that is outside the organization. You know, how the activities of the organization impact outside of environment of the organization. So primary focus is on the outside world, impacted by the operations. Here it is inside the organization. So understood the difference?
Yes, sir.
In 9001, what is the focus?
Process.
Customer.
Customer.
First principle, customer focus. So the who is at the center? Customer. Customer focus. In 14001, it is environment is the focus, that is outside the organization, how the organization impacts the environment. And in 45001, it is the people inside the organization. So remember this distinction between the 3 standards, where it focuses. Okay. Now, so there are various hazards. So basically the standard requires the organization to promptly develop a list of hazards during work activities and could be following. So this is typically manufacturing industry mein slips, falls on the level. Okay. Have you visited any manufacturing industry? Especially Harsha? आपने कोई manufacturing? No? No. Okay. But you can consider, an example.
सब मूवीज में देखा है ना?
हाँ, मूवीज में देखा है आपने, यूट्यूब पे आपको बहुत दिख जाएगा. ठीक है. ठीक है. तो slips, falls on the level. ठीक है. Now this is very common in the industry. Second is fall of persons from heights. आपके घर के आसपास कोई नई कंस्ट्रक्शन हो रही होगी, and you would have heard that somebody fell from 20th floor while working. होता है, सुना है ना?
हाँ सर.
Yeah. Fall of tools, materials, etc. from height. So tell me, in financial services, what is the type of hazard you can add to this list?
From negligence to frauds.
No, fraud is, this is related to the health hazard and accident to the employees. तो बैंक में क्या पॉसिबिलिटी है?
So short circuit.
शॉर्ट सर्किट हो जाएगा, ठीक है, बैंक में शॉर्ट सर्किट हो सकता है, एग्जैक्टली। फॉल सीलिंग गिर सकता है,
False ceiling. So fire भी हो सकता है.
फायर भी हो सकता है, करेक्ट। So depending upon the type of operations your organization has, you have to prepare a list of what are the hazards, possible hazards during work activities. So, first is what are your key activities, फिर वो हर activity के साथ में what are the hazards associated. Yeah, correct. Now, बैंक में most of the people work in front of the laptop, personal computers, है ना?
Yes.
So what is the health hazard?
So spinal issue.
Spinal issue, eyesight problem, right? So all these things are possible in case of the offices also. So, normally people will consider industry, factories and all those things where the hazards and all those things happen, but there are so many in the offices. You work under air conditioned environment, so the quality of air getting circulated, air conditioning load, fatigue. So these are all the health hazards. Inadequate headroom, है ना? जगह कम होती है तो उसको बोलते हैं जा स्टेयर केस के नीचे एक डेस्क लगा ले. Especially the guy who handles your registry, जहाँ से letters आते हैं जाते हैं ना, उसको बंदे को बोलते हैं जाओ उधर बैठो. Hazards associated with manual lifting, handling of tools and materials, hazards from plant and machinery, and so on. Correct. So the standard requires you, all other things are similar. Like you have to define your context of the organization with respect to occupational health and safety. Correct. Then leadership में policy define करना है, health hazard के बारे में क्या policy है आपकी, participative management is important in case of occupational health and safety. So works committees and all those things are mandatory as per the Factories Act 1948. So like that, there are several aspects which an organization is required to look into when considering the implementation of occupational health and safety management system. Then the clause on planning, especially requires you to identify these risks related to health hazards and accidents. And then define your objectives. Like you will have a accident-free year. Last year there were so many accidents, so many near misses, so many deaths, correct? So during this year, our target is 0 deaths, 0 fatal accidents, 10 minor accidents, like that, correct? So somewhere you need to put the measurement system in place and then keep continuously improving by identifying the hazards and eliminating the hazards by, putting a proper system in place. Now, unsafe acts of persons. Okay. So though the management would have taken all care in everything, but still because of the unsafe acts of persons, things can happen, like working at unsafe speed. हो सकता है ऐसा, working at unsafe speed. Today we have to complete the year's month's quota. So last day of the month, then everyone is asked to work overtime at fast speed, and in that process things might go out of hand and injuries might happen. No maintenance, people may not do maintenance, operating at heights without safety belts clearance, making safety devices inoperative, not using personal protective equipment, using unsafe equipment, working new machinery, and so on. Okay, so
The working overtime also will come in this.
Yeah. Working overtime could come into this one, no, working at unsafe speed.
Okay.
Using so if it is not there in the list, you have to list that. Working overtime means some people are asked to work all the 3 shifts, so fatigue will take place, and then it will make the accidents, isn't it? So unsafe act of persons. Now that person is working because the supervisor is forcing him. The reliever has not come, so you have to work. The drivers, I have seen many drivers, a reliever doesn't come, so the driver is asked to work overtime. Now, so determination of the risk from the hazard should be determined by estimating the potential severity to harm and the likelihood that harms will occur. Okay, so this is an activity called, they called it HERA. Have you heard of the name HERA? It's a risk register where the activities are listed, then what are the hazards possible because of that activity, and then what is the likelihood and impact of that, and then accordingly, is it minor, major, or critical? Financial services में भी ये किया जाता है ना, HERA. How do you assess the risk impact कौन सा, how do you prioritize which is the higher risk, what is the lower risk?
So it depends on the financial severity.
Correct. So it is financial severity. So you might make losses on a particular thing, and therefore you will like to assess what would be the, जैसे fraud होने का आपने बीच में जिक्र किया था ना. So if there is a chance of fraud, then there is a big risk. Now, how you will determine there is a chance of fraud? What are the control mechanisms already there in place, isn't it? If there are no controls, then there is a likely that there is a risk of fraud. So similarly, here we are considering what are the areas which are prone to the safety and health of the employees. Okay, I will show you one example, one activity example, how that is determined. So if suppose something like that happens and it results into parts of the body likely to be affected, then it will be given some severity. Nature of the harm ranging from slightly to extremely harmful. Slightly harmful, for example, superficial injuries, minor cuts, bruises, eye irritation, etc. But if it results in loss of a limb, then it is severe. Okay, so these are the various things which are covered under the standard. All the clauses remain same. That means you have to have a define the interested parties. In this, the interested parties are internal customers, which is focus, that is the employees, and the government and other parties are there. So how the occupational health and safety addresses that? So you have to do a very, very detailed analysis of the affected parties, then put your quality OHSMS policy in place, then do a risk analysis and plan for minimization of the risk, set the objectives, and operational activities like implementation of the areas identified as risk, and then putting those projects in place. All those activities are under detailing in the clause number 8, that is operations. And finally, you have to have a review under clause 9, management review related to the success or failure of the OHSMS. There is a periodic audit, periodic reports about the hazards, accidents, and all those things, and then review and decisions. And finally, improvement. So it goes on similar to the 9001. Now, for the specifics, we will refer to the lesson on this particular thing. Before that, I will show you one determination of risk, how it is done. This is a slightly small font. I will try to increase that. Too big. Okay. So you are able to see this on screen, right? This is a part of the risk assessment register of a particular company. So we won't see the name and all, but it is a company which deals with production of stationery material like books and spiral bound notebooks and all that. So the company analyzes its activities and events, first column. So this is not a standard format given by ISO or anybody, but based on the requirements, they have devised this. It requires that you need to examine all your activities and various events happening in the company. So they have listed this is what happens in the company. Okay. So every organization is required to do that. Then whether it is a normal activity or abnormal activity. Some of the things are normally happening. Some of the things are abnormally might happen out of a blue. So what is the hazard identified? Health and safety impact. The hazard is identified. Now, what will happen? What will be the impact on the health and safety of the employees? Are there any controls in place currently? So listing of those controls. Then with these existing controls, what is the likelihood of happening this? So on a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, they have taken a scale of 1 to 10. What is the likelihood of that happening? If it happens, what is the chances of extent of getting exposed to that particular event? Then extent of injury, if that happens, will it be a minor injury or it will be a major injury like losing hand or leg or whatever? Then what will be the consequence of that? So consequence. Then risk factor. So they multiply these 4 things to get the risk factor. And then that they categorize that as a risk rating under 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then legal obligations, if any, risk acceptable or not acceptable. Okay. So take this example, receipt of material in form of reel and while running. Some risk has come, which I will handle afterwards. Okay, so you are seeing this screen now on this thing. So what happens now on receipt of material in the form of reel, improper rolling of material. And this, they put it normal because this activity is happening every day and day out. This is a routine activity, so normal. Now, hazard identified is the roll. There is a big roll which comes to the factory. And if it is not properly rolled, improper rolling of the material, if that is the thing which happens, then the safety hazard is health and safety impact is injury to toes due to weight. Okay. So the roll might come onto the toes of the employee. Now, existing control is stoppers and safety shoes are there. So the employees are given safety shoes and the management has provided stoppers. So while the roll rolls down the truck, there is a stopper. If stopper is not used, then it will come onto the feet of the employee. Now, if it comes on the feet, there are safety shoes. But if he is not wearing safety shoes, then his feet will get injured. So this is the situation. Existing control is given and this is the situation. Now, how severe is this? They have given what is the likelihood of this happening on a scale of 10 to 1 to 10. What is the likelihood? So you see, they have given 4. So is it a good condition? The likelihood of happening is 4 on a scale of 1 to 10. Is it good? Akanksha? Hello? Yeah, can you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What I'm asking, the risk rating which is given for likelihood of happening this event is 4 on 10. 10 matlab har baar
High,
hoga.
high risk.
High risk. 1 means low risk.
Low.
Okay. So if somebody says 4, that means there is a likelihood, but the probability is around 40%. So is it a good situation?
No, sir.
No, so it's not a good situation. 40% of the time, this might happen. The role might come onto the feet of the employee. So I know this company and I questioned them and they said, no, sir, ये तो हमने ऐसे ही लिख दिया, So how do you put this figure?
So you see the past.
Correct. You see the past performance, So in last, say, 3 months, what has been the probability? How many times? क्या 10 बार में आपने अनलोड किया रोल तो 4 बार वो पैर पे आ गया या नहीं? नहीं सर, पिछले महीने तो एक भी बार नहीं हुआ ऐसा, फिर क्यों 4 लिखा? है ना? तो पिछले 1 साल में कितने बार हुआ? नहीं, वो हम रिकॉर्ड नहीं करते, पर कभी कभी हो जाता है, तो हमको लगा कि वो हो जाता है तो इसके लिए लिखा. So this is the way, it has to be calibrated, proper data based, decision making has to be based on the facts. So therefore the company needs to have proper data to assess the risk properly. So otherwise, they are giving probably a high risk, correct, which is not there. Okay, so understood this part, likelihood of happening, past में क्या performance रहा है, and you don't just see 1 month, you see at least 3 months का performance देखो और फिर उसमें एवरेज निकाल के फिर डाल दो, है ना? Then second is exposure. What is the meaning of exposure?
The exposure to risk.
अगर this exposure is, this is a normal activity and therefore this can be, exposure is to all the people all the time. So in this particular case, they are saying their assessment of exposure is, it can happen to most people. That is the exposure. Matlab, they are exposed to this risk. So just to understand it clearly, for example, if there is a leakage of poisonous gas. Okay. So what will be the exposure? Exposure will be to
10 on 10.
10 on 10. So people, they will get exposed to that because that poisonous gas spreads, But if they have a stopper, between the leak and the persons working, then the exposure gets reduced. So the exposure, people, there is a leakage, but people are not exposed to it because there is a stopper. So poisonous gases, poisonous liquids, hot air, hot steam, all these things might be there, but the exposure is reduced by putting suitable obstacles or what you call covers and other things, protections. So that is exposure. Then extent of injury. Okay. Possible consequences, extent of injuries, they are given 2. So again, I question, if that role comes onto the feet of the employee, how can you say it is 2? That means it is just a minor, thing. Nothing will happen to him. No, उसको पैर टूट सकता है सर, वो वजन उसका बहुत ज्यादा होता है ना? तो फिर इसको इंक्रीज करने का है extent of injury. So the likelihood of the extent, the role comes onto the feet of the employee, so they have to reduce the risk rating here from 2 to 6 or maybe 8. Then consequences, extent of injury तो हो गया कि पैर हो गया, फिर उसका consequence क्या है कि will it be treated in a day, or it will be 1 month, you will have to take rest or whatever it is. So based on the consequences, this rating will be there. So okay, नहीं वो लगेगा उसको पैर को, पर वो 1 दिन में ठीक हो जाएगा, तो चलो ठीक है, 2 का रेटिंग दे दिया. फिर risk factor, then multiply all these things. So 4 into 8 into 2 into 2, 48. Now this risk rating has come to 4 out of 5. I don't know whether it was out of 5 or 10. I think, because they have given 10 to each, so 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 factors and 10. So that means, 400. Out of 400, it is 48. They have scored it only 48. So therefore, the risk rating is 4. Out of 10, it comes to 4. And then any legal obligation, no. So risk acceptable, they said yes, because it is only 4 on 10. And they will define 1 to 4 is acceptable, 4 to 8 is medium, and 8 to 10 is high risk. Okay, which is not acceptable. So this is the way, I'm just showing, don't go whether they have done it right way or wrong way, and there will be, corrections happening as they refine it. But this is the way, the risk, severity of risk is determined. Okay. So this very.
So this extent of injury, like 2 is written, where likelihood is 4.
Yeah,
so if likelihood is 4, then injury also will be 4 only, na?
No, likelihood is, talking about frequency. Frequency, what is the probability of it happening? That is likelihood. But the other one is, the factor is about, if it happens, even if it happens once, then what is the injury?
Okay.
That is the difference. So some of the things might happening very regularly, even, maybe at 60% frequency, but the extent of damage is just a scratch, nothing happens. So it will be scored less that way. But some things may happen once in a blue moon, maybe 1 rating. But if it happens, then it is maybe loss of limb or death. Then the consequences will be rated high. Okay. So now let's go to our lesson. I'm closing the other document which I opened. Okay, so similar to, just 1 second. So this chapter also covers objectives, purpose, what is an OHS system, what is 45001, basics, benefits, comparison, near miss hazard and hazard material, changing approaches to OHSMS management. So the introduction part, what is the full form of OHSMS? This is easy question. What is full form of OHSMS?
So operational,
So
occupational health and safety management.
You gave me a clue to change this to operational, one of the option to be changed to operational. Okay. So this is occupational health and safety management system. This is B, occupational health and safety management services. No, this. Correct. So C is the correct answer. Now, in this chapter, para, the 2 fundamental types of activities supporting OHSMS are activities for developing and maintaining awareness of OHS performance of the organization and the OHS hazards and risks of importance to the organization, and activities for controlling OHS performance. So one is managing the activities related to OHSMS, and second is the controlling of the performance of the OHSMS. These are the 2 things. If either set of activities is missing or not effective, the ability to perform OHS management is hampered. So the question is, what are the key activities which support the occupational health and safety management system? So these 2 activities which are listed above are given here, and then you are given with the options, only 1, only 2, both, and none. So if you have read this, then you will get the answer as C, correct?
Yes, 1 and 2.
Yeah, both 1 and 2. So what is the purpose of occupational health and safety management system. So without reading, let's try to answer this. हर्षा आप है?
हाँ सर.
हाँ, आप पढ़िए, क्वेश्चन 3 का आंसर भी बताइए.
OH&S management is intended to identify OH&S hazards and risks, determine what level of performance is appropriate, and then help the organization achieve it. The above statement can be called OH is intended to identify hazards and then acts. Purpose. Activity. So purpose.
You're right. Purpose. See, it is intended to. Means the purpose. So this can be called as purpose of the OH and SMS system. Correct. So mark the word identify, intended to identify. So what is the purpose? Your intention is the purpose. So that purpose is in B. Okay. Then identification of OS risks and hazards and risks of importance to the organization and to generate enough information about them to allow the organization to determine what level of performance is appropriate and where that performance should be improved. The above statement can be called as one of the key functions. So this is the primary function. Okay. So this is the primary function. As we discussed while I will giving you the overview, there's a lot of emphasis on identification of this OH and S hazards and risks to the organization. This is one of the primary functions, key functions of the OHS and MS. Okay, so this will clearly, assess your understanding of the various aspects of OHS/MS, whether it is a purpose, whether it is an activity, which activities are important, what are the activities involved, all those things, the questions will be able to test whether you have understood the OHS lesson properly. Then what is the OHS/MS system? What it is? So the question is aimed at your understanding whether you understood what is the system, what this system is all about. So the question says setting overall direction, setting out the structure and responsibilities for specific management tasks, provision of adequate resources, defining standardized methods for accompanying certain sensitive or important activities, and retrieving and improving the performance of the system. So the above activities are basically called management of system objectives, management system review, management system assessment, management system requirements. So what is the correct answer in this? What it is, what a management system OHS/MS is. The above activities are basically called objectives, review, assessment, or requirement. Out of these 4, what is the most appropriate?
The objectives.
It covers all. It has objectives also, it has review, it has assessment, So basically all of these things are management system requirements. Yeah. So the most appropriate answer for this question is D. So the OHS, what it is? It sets the overall direction. It sets out the structures, responsibilities of management, provision of resources, determine standard methods. So this is all what an OHS/MS is. So what are the requirements of an OHS/MS? That is the management system requirements. So the most appropriate answer to this question is D. Okay. Again, this is a simple question like we had in 14,000. The key intent of the OHSMS is बताइए, आकांक्षा आप बताइए, व्हाट इज द की इंटेंट? OHSMS हम क्यों इम्प्लीमेंट करते हैं? प्रोसेस डॉक्यूमेंट करने के लिए करते हैं? इज दैट द इंटेंट?
So to enable OHS risk and improve performance.
है ना? So all the standards, anything like 9001, 14,001, 9001 का क्या इंटेंट है? To improve the quality related performance, है ना? Product or service quality related performance improvement is the intent of 9001. Similarly, OHS का क्या है कि risks, enable occupational health and safety risks and improve the performance. That is the intent. In case of 14,001, it is the environmental performance, improve the environmental performance. Correct? I think iPhone पर who is there? Akanksha is there on iPhone? Yeah, okay. आप okay. So lunch के बाद में there is little relaxation, so I would ask someone to read this. What is 45,001? हर्षा आप पढ़ लीजिए इसको. What is 45,001?
What is ISO 45,001? ISO 45,001 is an ISO standard for management systems of occupational health and safety, OHS, published in March 2018. The goal of ISO 45,001 is the reduction of occupational injuries and disease. The standard is based on OHS AS 18,001, Occupational Health and Safety Management Systems, conventions and guidelines of the International Labour Organization, including ILO OSH 2001 and national standards. It includes elements that are additional to BSOH SAS 18,001. ISO 45,001 follows the high-level structure of other ISO standards such as ISO 9001 2015 and ISO 14,001 2015, which makes integration of these standards easier.
Okay, so a lot of information put into this. First of all, the standard, current standard was published in 2018, second one, in the same, it says the goal is the reduction of occupational injuries and diseases. So these two things, occupational injuries and diseases. So what are the hazards? Hazards will result into injuries, and the conditions will result into diseases. So both the things are covered there. Now it is based on OSHA's 18,001. Okay. So OSHA's 18,001 was basically adoption of the BS standard, as we had seen there, correct? And then it was renamed as 45,001. Also, it says conventions and guidelines of the ILO, including ILO OSH 2001 and national standards. It includes elements that are additional to BS OSHA's 18001. Then finally it says it has a high level structure. So what is the meaning of high level structure? बार बार ये शब्द आ रहा है ना, high level structure. You know, high level structure is was defined in 2015, saying that there will be uniform number of clauses. That is how many clauses? 10 clauses. So the high level structure जहाँ भी शब्द आया ना, तो that means the standard follows that standard structure of 10 clauses. So therefore 45,001 also has 10 clauses. Fine. So this is what the information, you know, you have to assimilate from this paragraph. Okay. Now identify the correct statement about OHSMS. So what is the correct statement?
So see, ISO 18001. No, not this. No, not this.
Yeah, okay.
This is gone. C is gone. D is gone.
A बताइए. A.
This version. So इसमें थोड़ा confusion है.
हाँ.
ये ISO 45,001 published in 2018.
हाँ.
That is the B1 is correct.
हाँ. तो
ये they are talking about OHSAS 18,001 also.
But you know that OHS 18,001 latest version was earlier to 45,001. You know, so there was no 2018. In 2018, 18,001 was renamed as published as ISO 45,001. So therefore, this first statement is not correct.
Correct.
So you are left with only B. Correct? Now, then it talks about the basics in which you have guidelines for OHSMS, requirements for OHSMS, guidelines and requirements for the system is not a certifiable ISO standard. So this standard 45,001, what does it specify? You read this one and then answer.
ISO 45,001 2018 specifies requirements for an occupational health and safety management system and gives guidance for its use to enable organization to provide safe and healthy workplace by preventing work-related injury and ill health, as well as by proactively improving its OHS performance. So it is C actually. It's guidelines and requirements for an
OHSMS. Okay. So here it says specifies requirements for an occupational health and safety management system and gives guidance for its use. So that means this standard covers both. One is the requirements and other is guidance. In case of 14,000, there was a different standard for guidance, correct? 9,000 maybe guideline standard was different.
Yes.
Whereas in case of 45,001, the document covers both requirements as well as guidelines. So the correct answer is C. So continual improvement of OHS performance, fulfillment of legal requirements, and achievement of OHS objectives, the intended outcomes of OHSMS. Now, does not state specific criteria for OHS performance, nor is it prescriptive about design of a system. So these are all, generic statements and all the standards, they do not specify कि आपको क्या करना चाहिए. They just give the requirements and you have to determine what you need to do for your organization. Used in whole or part in part to systematically improve the occupational health and safety management system. However, claims of conformity to this document are not acceptable unless all its requirements are incorporated into an organization. So what it says ki you can, implement in parts, but you will not be certified unless you implement the whole standard in totality. Okay. So you might have identified all the hazards, risks and everything and working on that. But if you don't have a review mechanism for assessing the performance, then you cannot get certified. Or you don't have a policy on occupational health and safety management, you will not get certified. Okay. What 45,000 is not? Does not state specific criteria, nor is it prescriptive about the design. An organization's management system should be specific to meeting its own needs. That means the standard does not specify, but an organization needs to be specific. Understood? The standard does not specify, but an organization needs to be specific in defining the criteria for its own use. Okay, so question number 9. Identify wrong statement from the following. So let us see if we need to read the above description, text, or we can answer on our own. Identify wrong statement from the following. तो मैं एक के बाद एक पूछूंगा. पहले मैं आकांक्षा से पूछता हूँ. 45,001 does not state specific criteria for OHS performance. Right or wrong? हमने डिस्कस किया ना. It does not specify a criteria. The standard does not specify a specific criteria, correct? So this is a correct statement, right, Akanksha? Hello, any confusion in this? I think Akanksha is not there. She is again dropped out. Harsha?
Yes, sir. So this is the correct statement.
This is correct. So this is not the answer. We are looking for a wrong statement, correct?
Yes.
Then second is ISO 45,001 is prescriptive about the design of an OHS management system. Is it prescriptive?
I think I read it. Yes, it is.
No, it doesn't. It is not prescriptive. Prescriptive मतलब क्या है? आपको ऐसा करना है, आपको वो नहीं करना है, आपको ये करना है. It doesn't prescribe. उसको थोड़ी पता है तो कि आपके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में क्या करना चाहिए, क्या नहीं करना चाहिए. So it is not prescriptive, but it says is prescriptive. That means B is most likely the answer, correct? But
it is not prescriptive, yeah.
So we have got the correct answer, but to be on safer side, we should read all the rest also. An organization's OHS management system should not be specific to meeting its own needs in preventing injuries and health.
This is correct statement.
Okay, so this should be specific. The organization should be specific. So it is correct. 45,001 defines not specifically, it does not specifically address issues such as product safety, property damage on environmental impacts. So this is also correct. It does not specifically address issues related to this, Product वो safety बोला है, generic, not product safety, property safety, environmental impact. ऐसा specific कुछ नहीं बोला है. All generic terms they have said. ठीक है? So therefore, the most appropriate is B. Okay, now move on to this one, 11. Both of you are there? No, I think
Only I am there.
Yeah, okay, you are only there. I don't know what happened to Akanksha. Okay, so let's look at this. As per the requirements of 45,000 2018, participation of workers in the OH and SMS is recommended practice, part of management review, a mandatory requirement, all of the above.
Recommended part of the mandatory तो नहीं है ना?
आपने पढ़ा नहीं ना ये ऊपर वाला पैरा, इसलिए आप बोलते हैं. So it is mandatory, you know. This
Mandatory.
is one thing which is mandatory. Participation of workers in the OHSMS is a mandatory requirement. Okay, ये क्लॉज नंबर 5 में दिया हुआ है. ठीक है. Benefits, you know, there are so many benefits. So identify 45,001 implementation benefits, having trained team of internal auditors, getting government subsidies, ensuring worker participation, none of the above. So C, worker participation, again the question is coming. So like that, you know, I want to close this chapter and move on to the next, because we have to cover 4 more topics. Okay.
Yes.
You know, so the thing is, you have to, it is easy, but you need to, you know, go through the lessons. And as I saw, you know, आप में से अधिकांश लोगों ने पढ़ा नहीं था. Otherwise, this would have been very fast also if had you read this, you know, completely. But anyway, यही होता है, हम लोगों ने भी ऐसे ही किया है. एग्जाम के लास्ट 4 दिन में पढ़ाई होती है, राइट? But that was our academic exam. This is a professional exam, you know, जो आपको डे टू डे लाइफ में यूज करना है. And therefore, continuously reading is the only, you know, answer.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Now, let's go to the next one. Now, the next is integrated management system. I'll just come in a minute. So integrated management system is a management system which integrates all components of a business into one coherent system so as to enable the achievement of its purpose and mission. This is the definition given by Institute of Quality Assurance. Now, what is Institute of Quality Assurance? Idea है आपको, आकांक्षा?
So she's not there.
Okay, acha, Harsha is there. Okay. Harsha is there, correct. Yeah, Harsha, sorry. So, you have the idea of IQA, Institute of Quality Assurance?
No, sir.
Okay, this is a UK based organization, you know, Institute of Quality Assurance, and it operates the you know, registration system for auditors, Institute of Quality Assurance. So you would have seen the you know, registered auditors who come for audit. that IRCA certification system is managed by this Institute of Quality Assurance. So it's a very old institute, like we have Quality Council of India in India, no, or American Society for Quality in US. Similar to that, this IQA is there in London, UK based organization. It's a government organization, Institute of Quality Assurance.
Okay.
Okay, so they have defined this. When I was working, so that time only 9001 to start with had come, then came 14,001, and it had a very different structure than 9001. 9001 means 20 clauses were there. In 14,001 there were 6 clauses. हर clause में बहुत सारे requirements थे, so it was all hodgepodge. Then, so therefore, if you have to implement that 14,001, then you have to have a different manual, different expertise and people and training and audit, so चलो अभी वो भी कर लिया. Then came this 18,001, तो उसका अलग ही structure, फिर उसके लिए अलग से एक MR, उसका अलग audit, फिर वो certification agency दूसरा आ गया. All certification agencies were not giving 18,000. So like that, so many things started coming, no? So the companies started getting confused and bogged down by all this documentation, audits, so much burden. So therefore, the IQA, they are the nodal body, and the auditors reported this. The companies reported to IQA, and then they said that we can have an approach where all these systems can be audited in one go as part of one documented system and all, and that's where this unification thing started. And in ISO in 2015 they came up with that high level structure where all standards will have similar terminology, similar number of clauses, same clause headings, so with that it became easy for people to implement these systems and incorporate the specific requirements of the system into different parts, but otherwise keep, say, the manual common, address all the things in one manual. So when we say principles section of the management system, and the section on 9001 will describe the 8 principles, then it will have section part B which will have 14,001 tenets. So वो describe, फिर होगा 45,001 tenets. So like that, in one manual everything will be there. When it came to internal audit, then the audit methodology is same, internal auditor.
So the screen is showing only the definition of the Institute of Quality Assurance.
Is it not showing the definition?
The definition of that only is showing.
Yeah, it's only the definition. I'm just, expanding on that,
Okay.
So I'm saying what happened and why this integrated management system came into being, So to reduce the complexity, the IMS was introduced. So it is basically integration of more than one management system. So how many we have so far seen? We have studied today.
So we saw 3.
Yeah, we saw 3, So all these 3 can be integrated into one and called integrated management system.
Got it.
Okay, that's the objective. Now, afterwards, other standard came, which is Information Security Management System, ISMS. So if somebody adds that also into this, then it becomes an IMS for the 4 standards. So subsequently many standards keep coming and they will just add it on. They don't have to, develop the system afresh for a particular management system. So they have to just plug on the additional requirements of that particular standard, correct? So that is the idea of integrated management system.
Got it.
Okay. So why should management system be integrated? Reduce duplication and therefore costs, improve quality environment performance, reduce risk, profitability, balance QMS, CMS, OHM, and you can go on adding the additional systems, eliminate conflicting responsibilities and relationships. So manage all these things, but focus on the business goals. So the integrated management system focuses on what is important to the business from all angles, not only quality, but environmental performance or occupational health, energy management and all that. Harmonize and optimize, create consistency, improve communication, and facilitate training and development. Correct? Common core processes, policy deployment, resource, these are all common in all the management system standards. Documented information, internal audit, management review, improvement. So these are common. And the specific, as we discussed in quality management, the specific operational class number 8 is different in 9001, it is different in 14001, and it is different in 45001. So you will find the class 8 differs. All other classes more or less are exactly same, except for class 8, which talks about the operations. These are the various benefits which we have already seen individual standards. Correct? So this is just an introduction to the IMS. What is IMS? Just to give you an idea. But let's go to the lesson on IMS. Okay, so here also we have what is IMS, what are the unit objectives, what are the other standards which can be included in IMS, how can it be integrated, how to deploy an IMS. So all these things are covered. We have seen what an IMS is. So what is the full form of IMS? Integrated Management System.
Integrated management system.
Integrated Management System. Okay. Then what is an integrated management system? Coordinated activities to direct and control an organization. Management system that integrates all of an organization's systems and processes. Set of interrelated, interacting elements of an organization to establish policies, objectives, and processes, all of the above. So here the answer is all of the above.
All of the above.
Okay. What is the goal of IMS? An organization becomes a unified whole. Instead of silos, you have a genuinely coordinated system, improving the performance of the entire organization. An integrated management system provides a clear, holistic picture of all the aspects of your organization. So all of these things are there, Then we get into what is an integrated management system, comprising of this and this, two or more. So here you will get the answer as
All of the above.
all of the above. Huh? What are the other popular standards? Yeah.
So in an integrated, it is not necessary all the 3 are adopted. Any 2 also can be.
Yeah,
adopted.
any 2 can be, and you can have 4 also, and 5 also. You can have any number, but at least 2.
Okay.
Then you call it an integrated management system. What are the other popular standards? So these are which can be added into this. In IMS, you can have 50,000. You can have food safety. You can have this IT 20,000. You can have 27,000 IT security management, and 16949 as an automotive supplier. So you can have any of this. Only this SA 8000, which is a standard for social accountability, that cannot be integrated into this because it still has different structure. It is not following the high level structure, which has the 10 standard clauses.
Okay.
Which standard cannot be part of an integrated management system. So here, 2750 and ISO 26,000, Later on, next chapter, 26,000 is related to social accountability. That is SA 8000 is now ISO has renamed that as a ISO 26,000 standard. Okay. So 26,000 cannot be part of the integrated management system. Now, why it should be integrated? So we saw various benefits of that. You have more comprehensive list here. The question is identify odd one out with respect to IMS.
Reduce duplication and therefore cost. So this is true. Improve quality, environment performance, and reduce risk and increase cost. This is also true. Balance QMS, EMS, and OHSMS objectives. This is also true. Simplify processes. No, this will not.
Yeah. So this is the odd one. The purpose is not to simplify the processes. Identify odd one out of IMS here. What we will identify as odd one out of
eliminate conflicting responsibilities and relationships. I think this is we'll just keep this is also true.
Yeah. So next
turn
one.
the focus onto business goals. Yes. Formalize informal systems. Get a single certificate. It's more of single.
Yeah, I mean these are all very relevant, important things. Where get a single, what does it? It doesn't matter whether I get 3 certificates or 1. So that's a minor thing. But these 3 are very important. So this D is the right.
Correct.
Yeah. So if you understood the importance of this IMS, then you will answer correctly. Otherwise, you will say, "Arey, ye bhi to hai," Common structure we have seen that we have more or less we have seen in the overview. So the question is common structure of ISO management system standard means. Bataiye isme, what does it mean?
It means they follow plan, do, check, act cycle. They follow same management structure as defined in NXSL. So NXSL kya hai?
Okay. Actually, this high level structure which we have given, that is called NXSL.
Okay, so that they follow high level structure. They follow risk.
They follow risk-based approach.
So this they don't follow, no?
Yeah, they follow risk-based approach. So common structure of ISO management system standard means, see, they follow this, they follow this, they follow this. Okay.
No, so none of the above is not the.
No, that's also not correct. The question is common structure means this common structure. So,
okay. Common structures, they follow same management as defined in high level.
Yeah. So the question is related to common structure. So the relevant answer is this. This is true. This is true. Both are true. But what is the correct answer? B is the correct answer because the question is related to the common structure.
Got it.
Okay. So you will have a very limited time and you have to answer quickly. So there is a chance of making mistake unless you are very clear about the concept. Identify which one does not qualify as common management process. Qualify as a common management process.
Internal audit is there. Then management review is there. Design and development. And control of documented information. I think it's design and development.
Right. Okay, so this design and development, is a very specific process, and it comes under clause 8 of the standard 9001. Okay. So as I said, clause number 8 is specific to the standard. They are different in all the standards, whereas all other clauses are more or less similar. So therefore, the answer is C.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, how can you integrate? So some suggestions are there. Existing system, convert it to some extent, merge some of the systems, then do a policy deployment of the process, have a common document process, management process. So this is how the system is integrated. So if you have already 9001 and 14001 as separate, so you need to combine it. But if you are developing a fresh system, implementing all three together, then you will naturally have all these processes as common processes defined. Now, question related to this is approaches such as conversion of existing management system or merging existing management systems are called steps.
Steps for integrating management system,
Hmm.
integrating existing management system,
Hmm.
deploying existing management system, upgrading, integrating, na sir?
Yeah, integrating the existing management system. Okay. Then you have deploying IMS steps and integration. Now these are the steps. So think about the overall business objectives, vision, mission, business plan. Define the integrated management system, policies and objectives. Think about the product realization processes, generic process model, build the administrative part, which is documentation, roles, responsibilities, what are the legislation, policy deployments, communication, emergency procedures, monitoring, measuring of systems, non-conformities, so all these things, as a part of IMS, but requirements of all the three standards together needs to be seen and then, define the system. Think about the overall business vision mission, define basis for integrated system, build the administrative system are called.
So, sir,
Integration
think
approaches.
about the overall business vision, business plan, define basis for integrated management system, build the administration part of the system are called
Integration approaches, deployment steps, planning, all of the above. So we were on hold.
deployment.
We were on the deployment steps, right? If you
Okay.
look at the topic here, this is the deployment steps. Deploying IMS steps in integration. Okay. Then merging existing system, various options. So these are the various options given for merging. And now the question is identify the wrong options for integrating the various management systems. So this question is related to this particular term. So it says make one manual, keep UMS as it is, and combine EMS and OHS, CHS management system. Keep a common management system manual. So various options are there. So what is the wrong option? Make one IMS manual. So, what I'm saying is the answer is hidden in this particular paragraph. You will get the answer. Then common activities for IMS, legal and other requirements. Legal and other requirements, resources, internal audit, management review and improvement are examples of common activities. Okay. Important activities, management activities, common activities. So what is it? These are the
common activities.
So, while you attempt in the exam, you won't have this para in front of you, correct?
Correct.
How will you get to this answer? Think independently, because you are not going to get this in the exam, right? तो आप कैसे डिसाइड करोगे कि सी इज द करेक्ट आंसर?
So because it is important activities, this does not fall as an important activity, but it is definitely one of the activities. This is again not a managerial management point of view, because management again outsources the legal down नीचे से होता है, तो इसीलिए ये common हो जाएगा फिर.
एक्चुअली यू नो द क्वेश्चन इज ऑन IMS, है ना, लिखा है उधर IMS IMS IMS. तो
Correct.
IMS का फोकस जो है ना वो कॉमन एक्टिविटीज के ऊपर है ना. सो यू टेक गेट एन एडवांटेज ऑफ यू नो मेक कॉमन एक्टिविटीज बाय हैविंग ए IMS, you know.
Got it.
So that's for these are the examples in IMS which are common, है ना,
Got it.
common in all the things. So IMS say relevant, common is the most appropriate thing. They are all important, they are all to some extent management activities also, but what is relevant in case of IMS, the correct answer is common activities. Okay, so like that small questions. Then IMS policy के ऊपर एक question है, difficulties. Okay, so let's take this final. Policies, we can have either separate policy for each of the three management systems or combine EMS with OHSMS and called EHS HSE policy, or have a 3-in-1 policy called QHSE policy, है ना. तो आपके पास में various options है. Now identify correct statement with respect to formulation of IMS policy. बताइए इसमें.
Must have separate,
Yeah,
which is identify correct.
correct one.
Must have separate policy for each of the identified, should combine EMS, have a 3-in-1 policy called. So correct. I mean, must, when you're saying must, it is basically when have either these first three, right, sir?
Say identify correct statement लिखा है ना,
हाँ.
with respect to formulation. So
Must तो है नहीं.
हाँ,
It is not
must,
compulsory. It is not compulsory.
none of these are compulsory. Must have, should combine,
should is
have a
not.
3. Even
Have
should is not correct. Have a 3-in-1 is also not necessary. You know?
Correct.
So therefore,
Either, none of the above.
none of the above. Okay.
So basically, these words that are used, must and should also should be looked at.
Yeah. So yeah, you know, because
Sir,
you can have any of these things, you know.
Sir, हमने अभी just पढ़ा 8 point में urging existing systems, where you are saying that make one IMS manual, keep QMS. This is systems and IMS policy. What is the difference, sir?
नहीं, फिर से आपका क्वेश्चन बताइए क्या है.
Sir, 8 वाला point ऊपर जब हमने सीखा था, was merging existing systems, where we are saying make one IMS manual incorporating requirements of all the three management system, or keep QMS as it is as combined EMS and OHSMS as EHS manual, or keep a common management system manual with all the common procedures related to each other. So this is also similar to this IMS policy only. What is the difference between that system?
Okay.
Merging existing.
Now policy, you know, policy is a document, one-page document, you know, it's a single document. Above we are talking about the whole system, you know, so it's comprising of policy, it's comprising of objectives, processes, procedures, and all those things are there. So that's the whole system we are talking. Here we are talking about the policy document only, which is displayed in the companies, no, our quality policy and so and so.
So if you can give an example, like system, like suppose every department is using.
No, system is comprising of whole system which addresses all the requirements of a management system.
Okay.
So 9001 सिस्टम की बात करेंगे तो क्लास 4 से लेके क्लास 10 तक का सब उसमें इंक्लूडेड है. Whereas this policy is one part of the management system, which is a single page document which is required by class 5 of the standard under leadership. तो
Okay.
पॉलिसी कैसे होनी चाहिए इंटीग्रेटेड मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम में, पॉलिसी कैसे होनी चाहिए? तो आप 3 पॉलिसीज अलग अलग रख सकते हो, है ना? आप तीनों को कंबाइन कर सकते हो, आप एक रख सकते हो और 2 कंबाइन कर सकते हो, यू नो. सो दीज आर ऑल कॉम्बिनेशंस पॉसिबल.
Okay.
सो दैट इज द डिफरेंस. ठीक है. फिर एजेंडा में आप सब कुछ कॉमन रख सकते हो, यू नो, एंड एस्पेक्ट्स रिलेटेड टू QMS, EMS, OHSMS आपको उसमें इंक्लूड करना है, बट द रिव्यू विल बी कॉमन. परफॉर्मेंस रिलेटेड टू QMS रिव्यू होगा, EMS, OHSMS, यू नो. so it will not reduce the importance of any of the activities under these different systems, but it will avoid duplication. आपको 3 बार मैनेजमेंट रिव्यू नहीं करना पड़ेगा, है ना? 3 बार
हाँ.
डिपार्टमेंट हेड्स को नहीं बुलाना पड़ेगा, यू नो. 3 मिनट्स नहीं बनाने पड़ेंगे. करेक्ट. ऑल दिस लाइक दैट. नाउ difficulties may be encountered while doing an IMS. Objectives, there commonly people make this mistake. They are not properly quantifying the objectives. Action plan to achieve objectives. Clarify confusion between corrective and preventive action. So with combining the IMS, the focus may go on the nitty-gritties of integrating and lose the focus on the objectives. So this is what it is talking about. This could be you might get entangled into integration part but not focus on what is the key objectives. Okay. So I think we will break for tea, and then post tea we have still 3 chapters, correct, which we will cover after the tea break. Okay. So let's break for tea.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay.